The following is a Orion Sportscast production. Here are your hosts, Josh Egan, Brandon Warthouse, and Jarek Moore.
Welcome back to Orion On Ice. Brandon's away this week. He's up at the cottage. Doesn't have a great Wi-Fi connection there, so it's the J&J show. I'm excited for it. We can say whatever we want. Brandon can't disagree. I hope he's listening. Fuck you, Brandon.
Watch out for the Bears.
Watch out for the Bears. Definitely watch out for those Bears. So, Jarek, how you doing? It's been a while.
I'm doing good, man. I'm ready to talk hockey. Again, it's been a while. It feels like it's been a while since we've even talked. So I'm excited. There's some big news out there, some interesting news out there, and you're ready to drop a bomb on me. So do you want to let that go right away?
Well, no, I just think it's funny
Okay.
I just think it's funny that you make it sound like you and I never talk when we're actually messing each other every 2 minutes. So it's kind of funny that way. I'll start. I always like to start each show with a story. I was reffing today, and it was U9 3-on-3. I think they were AA or AAA, and I'm reffing, and sometimes I forget that I'm reffing because this kid comes around the net full speed, and I see him coming out of the corner of my eye. And if you're a ref, you're supposed to get out of the way, but my player instinct kicked in, and I just kind of braced for a hit. And this kid skated full speed into me and just bounced right off me, flew into the back of the net. The net flipped on top of the goalie. And he looks at me. He's like, "What the hell, man?" I'm like, "Sorry, dude. Like, I didn't see you coming, I guess." So I gave him a penalty shot because, I was like, whatever, let's just make the kid happy. So, yeah, I gave myself a penalty reffing today. So
Well,
that happened. What also happened.
You got in the guy's way. That's
great.
great.
There you go. What also happened is, and this is like currently breaking, so I'm trying to find the most up-to-date news, but Kirill Kaprizov has apparently signed a tentative deal or agreed to a tentative deal with, I believe it's CSKA. Yeah, CSKA Moscow on a 1-year, 8-figure deal to begin on September 1st, should a contract not materialize with the Wild. But apparently the Wild are now ready. I don't know why it took this. The Wild are now ready to talk a contract with him at a medium-term length deal. The Wild were initially hung up because they only wanted a 7 or 8 year deal for the Calder Trophy guy. He won the Calder Trophy. That's a massive thing. Bunch of options that they have. This is all by Frank Saravalli. Kaprizov's camp contends there's been no offer made since April. We'll see where this goes. The two sides remain in communication. Now, I read this at first. I'm like, okay, yeah, these Russian teams, they could probably afford Kaprizov at 10 million plus, which would be an 8-figure deal. I just looked it up. The salary cap in the KHL this year is 14.3 million.
What? The whole team.
The whole team. So you're going to pay one guy 70% of the team's salary cap?
I mean, in KHL terms, I could definitely see it, but that's insane.
Well, but here's another twist. The team he's signing with is owned by Vladimir Putin's oil company.
Oh, okay, yeah. So never mind. They got money. They're good.
They're fine. So, but also this is the biggest bullshit bluff in sports history. He'll be with the Wild. He's not going to CSKA Moscow for $60 million or whatever is being reported. No. So I don't know, man. Like, this was really funny. I love seeing stuff like this in August because people are just grasping at straws for this point. I don't know, like even you and I are grasping at straws for this show, but it's a hockey show. We're going to talk hockey. And let's start with some Leafs talk. Why not? Fuck it. There's a phenomenon going on Twitter right now. Let's stick with the August social media theme, where I saw a picture posted on Instagram. I forget who posted it, but someone posted it, and it was a photo of Morgan Riley, Jake Muzzin, Dion Phaneuf, and Drew Doughty golfing out in, I believe, PEI or Newfoundland. And I was like, oh, these comments will be great because, Dion Phaneuf was involved. And it was like, oh, good work, guys. Go and golf. Enjoy your game. Hey, I'm going to be out there soon. Hey, maybe we can catch a game. Oh, what a group. I was like, oh, that was actually somewhat friendly. And then I pull up, Twitter, and I see Mitch Marner has posted a photo of him and Justin Hall golfing. And it's, go to work, you bum. Like, you fucking suck. Why don't you show up in the playoffs once in a while? Fuck this, fuck that. And it's a little bit suspicious that, like, 2 hours after that, William Nylander posted a video of him training. That was a little weird, that one. But what do you think about these fans online? Do they just let these guys be themselves in the offseason and leave them alone? Like, we know they're training. They're professional athletes.
No, 100%. I just like it's just one of those things. I retweeted your tweet and I said, "Oh, here comes the you should be improving your game crowd." I don't know. It's insane how like I don't know. Do you practice coaching when you go home?
Not really.
Like I don't practice selling hats when I go home. Like I don't understand why we want these guys to go home and sit down on the couch and be like, all right, I need to break down my power play game. I need to break down my penalty kill game. Like I just don't understand it.
Like I don't know if it like applies to your line of work, but like I'll come home and if I like maybe I'll do 45 minutes to an hour of researching like new drills or whatever, but I'm not gonna get my wife to line up on the pretend goal line we have in the living room and like try out my drills. You're not gonna find a hat and bring it to your fiance and be like, hey, buy this. You know, like
exactly. This is the new and improved new era hat. Like I just don't understand why we want these guys to like they already live and breathe hockey. Like they're 25 years old. They've been doing nothing but playing hockey since they are 4 or 5 years old, if not younger.
Yeah.
Like they love the game. We already know that. And I've always said it. Leafs fans are always the worst when it comes to that stuff because they try to attack their own players. And then in 2 months, when Mitch Marner scores his first goal of the season, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, Mitch Marner, he's the best." Blah blah blah.
Not
blah.
me.
No, not you, not me. But living where I live in London, Ontario, that's all you hear is Mitch Marner, Mitch Marner, Mitch Marner. So, but I don't know. I've never been a fan.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. Oh, you froze. I'm gonna pause. Yeah, like at the end of the day, they should just leave these guys alone. Who cares? Like, let them go for a game of golf or whatever. It's not like they're out there. Maybe it's a different story if, like, you know, William Nylander posts a video of him at, you know, the brass rail in Toronto throwing singles on the strippers, but he's not doing that. He's, you know, they're enjoying a game of golf or going out for dinner or, you know, Marner just got engaged. Good for him. I don't know why people are commenting on that post like, hey, go and train. Like, he's has a personal life. Leave him alone.
No, exactly. Like it just be happy for these guys. Like they're, I don't know. I've always looked up to the Toronto Maple Leafs because I'm a huge Toronto Maple Leafs fan. So like I want these guys to be doing whatever they need to do in their personal lives to have the best game on the ice. So
yeah, it's leave them alone. Let's stick with the Leafs. Morgan Rielly is probably looking a pretty fat contract after the one signed this offseason. You know, we had Cale Makar at 9.5. We've had, you know, Zach Werenski for some reason. We got a big deal. Darnell Nurse just signed for way too much money at 9.25 over 8 years. You know what, though? Edmonton offered it, so why not take it? So good for him. Get your money. He did take 2 team-friendly deals before that. So his time is now, and you are buying UFA years with that deal. So what are we looking at here for Morgan Rielly? Because their reports came out that he signed a hometown discount. I don't know where these originated from. I just suddenly saw it one day on Twitter. So what is a hometown discount for Morgan Rielly in your mind?
Well, it's interesting because if you're going to look at it last season, he didn't really necessarily have his best defensive game. And if you're going to look at a guy like TJ Brody, who's making 5, I think.
5, yeah. 5.5, I think.
How does anybody just like give any reason why we're paying these guys $9.5 million? Like, so like if we're looking at a deal for Morgan Rielly, are we looking at 8, 9? If he stays in Toronto, are we looking at 6, 7? I don't know. I'm gonna think 7.5 at 7 years. But is Morgan Rielly as good as Zach Werenski? Is Morgan Rielly as good as Darnell Nurse? Is Darnell Nurse good as Zach Werenski? Like it's just there's so many questions when it comes to these contracts right now.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are in the same ballpark. I'm thinking 8 over 8 for Morgan Rielly. I think that's a fair deal. You can load it up with bonuses at the beginning, like you've done with everybody else. Your MLS, you do whatever the hell you want when it comes to contract structure, and then make it easily tradable at the end. By, you know, having a low salary, no bonus or whatever it is. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see. I just kind of loved how this report that he's taking a hometown discount kind of came out of nowhere. It was very, very odd to see. So I don't know where that came from or why it came from there, but it is what it is. Let's stick with the theme of the Leafs. So I had a lot of thoughts this episode, so we'll see what you think. with the leaving or the absence of Freddie Anderson next season, he left. Him and Matthews were close. Marlowe left a couple seasons ago. Him and Matthews were close. I guess you can mix Marner in there too. Do you think the relationship between Matthews and the front office is starting to get a little bit strained, especially with Arizona starting to create a lot of room for that year Matthews is up for his first UFA year?
I can definitely see it. I mean, he's already been there for 6 years now.
Yeah, so, I think he's going into his 6th season.
Okay, so going into his 6th season, I mean, they haven't done anything in the playoffs. There's nothing but stress in Toronto, and I mean, and like you said, Arizona's just sitting there waiting for him in 3 years. I don't know. It's interesting to say because they haven't really necessarily done anything to surround him with wingers in the past, other than this season with Mitch Marner. So it's a good question to ask, but I don't know. It's one of those things where if he keeps playing his game, then they have no choice but to pay him. So if they have the leverage in that sense, because is he a UFA after this contract?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So never mind. About that leverage. So, but yeah, I think it's definitely going to be strained soon, if especially after this season, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you say after this season, I think this is one of those. This year is definitely a do or die season for the Leafs. Like Dubas's job is on the line. You're probably looking at the president first, maybe at Brendan Shanahan, being like, "Dude, you've done absolutely nothing for this team beyond getting the culture right. This team still hasn't exited the first round." So it is definitely a massive season for them, and I think it does. Like this year, it could affect if Matthews chooses to stay or not. So
no, 100%, and that kind of leads into a question I have for you. And like you kind of already answered in the sense what you just said, but do you think this is, if the Leafs don't do anything in the playoffs, and by anything I mean if they aren't in the conference finals this year, do you think this team is getting blown up?
It's a tough one, man. Like if you lose in the first round again, you're probably gone. If you make it to the second round, have a poor showing, I think you see some, not a blow up, but some major tweaks. I think your conference final is your safe zone. But then, what if you make the conference final and you get blown out for nothing?
No, exactly.
I think that's when you start to ask questions. You make a cup final, you're probably good. We just saw what happened with Montreal. They made the cup final, and that's a poor example. Montreal's terrible. But, it's tough to say it this far away because, and I think you and I both fall on the same side of this, the regular season does not matter this year. All that matters is that they make the playoffs, and then we'll see from there, because the real test could be 7 games. It could be 28 games, because it's going to be the playoff run.
I'll be honest with you. I was always the person to argue that and say, no, the regular season does matter. You need the regular season. That proves what teams are good, what teams can do anything. But
you do at some point though, right? Like when Golden State, look at Golden State in the NBA. The regular season didn't matter to them when they were on their legacy run. They didn't care. They could have finished in the 8th seed with the team they had. They were still going to the NBA championship. Tampa Bay this year could have finished dead last in a wild card spot or whatever the hell it was this year. They would have made it to the Cup final. They don't care about the regular season.
And that's what I was going to say. Like there's some teams out there who don't even need the regular season. They could just go out there, do their thing. They're going to make the playoffs no matter what they do, no matter if they finished 8th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 4th. But whatever they finished, they're going to have a chance at the playoffs. And if anything, anything taught me last year is the regular season. If you finish first, it doesn't matter, because the Leafs basically walked through that North Division last year, and they got to that playoffs. They looked great in the first 4 games, and then what happened after that. I don't really want to relive that, but like you said, it's just the regular season. They need to come out there. They need to do their thing. Here's another question for you. Do you think the Zach Hyman loss really means that much for the Toronto Maple Leafs when it comes to their playoff chances? Because I see a lot of people talking out there.
I'm glad you brought that up. I would say when the reports came out that he was going to Edmonton and we heard nothing else, yes, that loss was huge. After I saw the signings they made, had some time to think about it, do a little bit of research, which I think more people need to do before they form an opinion. is no, I don't think it affects their playoff chances at all. They're a strong team. They're going to make the playoffs this year. I don't think they've done anything to harm their playoff chances. Have they maybe taken a step back skill-wise, grit-wise? We'll see. But that's why you play the games. So,
but what we've heard over the last 5 years is that the team has too much skill. So
how do you have too much skill? How do you have too much skill?
Exactly. So now the fact that we drop some players that have the scoring touch and we bring in some gritty players that we've always been told we need over the last 5 years. I don't know. Being Leafs fans tough sometimes because you hear they do know right. So when it comes to who they bring in, it doesn't really matter. So I just want this team to go out there and show everybody what they can do and do the Matthews and the Marners and the Tavares do their thing.
You know what's crazy? And this stat's going to be hard to believe. And the left side of hockey Twitter is going to find this mind-blowing. The team that scored the most goals in the playoffs had a perfect record. The teams that out-hit everybody, they were not in the Stanley Cup final. So,
yeah.
You're going to want to put pucks in the back of the net, guys. I hate to break it to you, but out-hitting a team. I have stood by this, and I know I'm correct. Nobody can tell me I'm wrong. If you're out-hitting a team, it's because you don't have the puck.
No, 100%. You can't hit. Are you going to hit somebody when you have the puck?
No, you can't. You're not allowed.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where you need the puck to win games.
Yeah. Timothy Lewigren, what's going to happen with this guy this year? Because I think this might be his last year with the Leafs organization. I don't know if it'll be a full year. I can see him being used as a trade chip at the deadline to get that, guy who's coming in to, push the Leafs into a playoff mode push or whatever. I don't know who it'll be. We're not doing trade bait boards right now. So Timothy Lewigren, where do you see him falling with this team? Because I don't see him in the top 6. I don't see him in the top 7, maybe top 8. But even that's not an NHL spot. So where do you see Timothy Lewigren at this point?
I see him in the Marlies because I don't feel like there's any room for him on the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. And I feel like one thing that might be a positive about him is right-handed defensemen are going for a premium right now in the National Hockey League. So I feel like if he can get off to a great start with the Marlies and other teams see that, they can use him as a trade chip. So they maybe can bring in a veteran defenseman. But at the end of the day, I don't think Timothy Lewigren is going to be the replacement you need for Zach Bogosian, right? Yeah. And that's another thing too. It's why are right-handed defensemen getting paid so much right now?
Yeah, I've never understood that. I've just kind of accepted that it's a fact that right-handed defensemen are more of a rarity over left-handed defensemen.
Yeah.
But sure, I don't know. I shoot left. I think I'm a pretty good defenseman. Pay me.
No, exactly.
Actually, I'm left and I play the right side because I like picking up the puck on my backhand to transition to a wrist shot. That's for all you defensemen. Learn to do that skill. It's probably adding $2 million to your paycheck.
TJ Brody.
Yo, do you remember when fucking, I think it was Tyson Barrie would receive his passes by flipping his stick? He would reverse the hands on his stick.
Yeah.
That was
Tyson Barrie. He gets so much flack. He's so good. If he had a defenseman on his left side that is just a stay-at-home defenseman, and it was perfect at what he did, Tyson Barrie's game would elevate so much further.
I agree with you too. Tyson Barrie has a lot more potential than he has, but just got to learn to play in your own end. It's unfortunate. Let's talk about the Edmonton Oilers a little bit. I know they're your second favorite team. You love the Oilers. Are they kind of falling into the same problem the Leafs have by overpaying guys? You got Darnell at 9.25, McDavid at whatever the hell he's making, Draisaitl's at 9 point something. They overpaid Koskinen. They overpaid Barrie. For some reason, they actually gave money to Cody Ceci. Duncan Keith they brought in, although they aren't paying the full salary. What's going on here? Because they got guys to pay coming up. They also paid Nugent Hopkins, too. Totally forgot about that.
I want to correct you. I think they're actually paying the full contract of Duncan Keith.
Are they? Oh, you're right. It was no salary.
They are.
That's how ridiculous that trade was. Yeah. I forgot they're paying the full thing. I was like, no, there's no way they're that stupid. And I'm like, oh, wait, no salary retained. You're right. I do apologize.
They are that stupid.
So, like, are the Oilers falling into this salary cap trap here? Like, it's getting a little dicey out in Edmonton.
It seems like it, but it seems like it's in a sense where the Leafs did it to keep their guys. The Oilers are bringing guys in a panic in a way. It's in the same sense where I can ask you the question: is management falling in the same position as the management with Matthews with McDavid?
Like, I know you don't like McDavid, but I don't.
No, he's a great player. I mean, you'd be stupid to disagree with anybody to say he's not the greatest player in the game, if not top 3, right? Like,
yeah, there's some guys in the league you could pay any amount of money for and justify it. Like, you could pay McDavid any amount of money. You can pay Ovechkin any amount of money. You can pay Crosby any amount of money. I think that's the 3 guys people say, oh, what about Matthews? What about Caden? Sorry, they haven't proven it yet. McDavid's one of the best players in the world. Crosby, just look at his legacy. Ovechkin, look at, he's going to be a top 2 NHL scorer of all time. You could give those guys any amount of money and you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
You could argue that Connor McDavid might be the first player in NHL history obviously in NHL history to make $20 million a year, because by the time his contract's up, the salary cap might allow him to get paid $20 million a year.
Yeah, so I don't question them for the McDavid signing. I questioned them for the Draisaitl signing at the time because I'm like, really? You're paying that guy that now? But then he went and had a 50-goal season, won the league MVP, looked phenomenal next to McDavid. Even without McDavid, he can still carry a line. Then it starts to get a little bit dicey outside of those 2. You got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Don't know about that deal. Zach Hyman, or even you overpaid for Zach Hyman. Duncan Keith, you're overpaying for him. Cody Ceci, why'd you need to bring him in? Like, what's going on there, man?
Like I said, it seems like a panic. The guys they're bringing in, it's just like they're paying Derek Ryan $2.5 a year.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if that doesn't seem like a panic, I don't know what does. And I love Zach Hyman, and I wish the Leafs got to keep him. But paying Zach Hyman $5.5 million for 7 years is just insane to me. And I don't think it elevates your team that much, especially when you have guys like Leon and Connor McDavid who need more than Zach Hyman because they have nobody else.
Right.
And I don't think Zach Hyman is going to help your goaltending game, because that's not a possibility, because Mike Smith is, in the nicest way, I feel like he's a liability back there because he's too busy trying to play the puck, and he's just not that great of a goalie anymore. And I don't know, just the Oilers bring in Cody Ceci, bringing in or trading away Ethan Bear. I feel like that's kind of, I don't know. I feel like you had it. Here's a question. Do you think Ethan Bear is a better defenseman than Cody Ceci?
Yes.
So then why not trade a few picks for Warren Foegele instead of having to trade Ethan Bear for Warren Foegele because you're bringing in Cody Ceci? Like,
well, that's the thing, right? Like, that was an awful trade. I'm looking at their cap friendly right now. You're paying Zach Hyman $5.5 forever. You're paying Ryan Nugent-Hopkins $5.125 forever. You're paying Zach Kassian $3.2 for the next 3 years. Warren Foegele $2.75 for the next 3 years. You have to re-sign Kyle Turris after this year. You have to re-sign Josh Archibald after this year. Derek Ryan, you have to re-sign in 2 years. And they still haven't signed Yamamoto, who was a massive part of their team.
Yeah, there's so many questionable moves in that franchise right now.
And they're over the cap. They're $2 million over the cap.
Wow. So who do they have to move here?
I don't know.
Who do they move now?
Probably a goalie. Maybe you're looking at moving Mike Smith, but then you're running with Koskinen. Do you move Koskinen and then just go with Mike Smith? That's not a good option either. I mean, their blue line
and you just re-signed Mike Smith too. So like, what kind of message did that send to anybody? Like,
exactly, man. Like, this is just, they gave Koskinen a $4.5 million contract over like 12 games into his career. I raised my eyebrows at their blue line. Like, you got Darnell Nurse at 5.6 for this year, but then that jumps to 9.25. Duncan Keith, full cap hit, 5.538. Tyson Barrie at 4.5. Oscar Klefbom at 4.1. Cody Ceci, 3.2. Chris Russell at 1.2. And then you got Bouchard at entry level at 8.63. Man, that is an expensive blue line for a mediocre talent if you average it.
Do you think Darnell Nurse is worth $9.5 million?
I think he's earned it because he took 2 team-friendly deals.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree with that. I don't think he's worth 9.5 in the sense where if we're going to talk about what quality of defenseman Darnell Nurse is over the whole National Hockey League. But like you said, he definitely deserves it. If you're going to take 2 deals in 2 separate times and not worry about anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, he did his time. He was nice to the team. When it comes up, when it's time to get a raise, he went, okay, pay me. And you know what? Good for him.
No, 100%. 100%.
Get your money. I've always said when NHL players get a chance to get money, get your money.
Well, you're like, I mean, if I got offered $5 million over 1 year, I would say, yeah, sure. I'm not making that money anywhere else. So I'm not going to say no to that. You're stupid to say no to that.
Yeah, guaranteed contract too, right?
No, 100%. It's like David Clarkson. Like you're gonna accept the money you're offered. Like if you get the chance to go play in your hometown, like David Clarkson did, you're gonna take the money. I don't care what anybody you don't care what anybody thinks.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Jack Eichel. This is starting to get really spicy. So just to recap for anybody who may not know what is going on, he had a herniated disc. The course of action was surgery, like a neck fusion or something. So it was a very similar surgery to what Edge got. So the team physicians preferred that they do a rehab approach, which is understandable, with the hope that he could return to play within last season. Eichel asked for a second opinion. He's allowed to do that under the CBA. But he did the rehab. The rehab window was over. After that, the medical team said, okay, yeah, you do need surgery, a fusion to, you know, get you out of discomfort. A hockey player has never had this surgery. So the Buffalo Sabres said, our doctors are not comfortable with a surgery that's never been done on a hockey player. Sure, that makes sense. But now a bunch of teams, because Buffalo has taken so long to pull the trigger, are out of the Eichel sweepstakes. So the Kings have moved on. The Wild have moved on, but I think that's because they bought out Ryan Suter and Zach Parise, and now they have $14 million in dead cap in 2 years. The Rangers are still like there, but they want Buffalo to take 50% of the salary, which I don't think they're going to do. The Golden Knights are actually the front runners, in my opinion, because all they would have to do is move Alex Tuch, who's making 4.75, and move Riley Smith, who's making 5. That frees up 9.75 million. You could bring in Jack Eichel. And then another one apparently is the Anaheim Ducks, but the ask is so high because they want Trevor Zegras, Jamie Drysdale, and 2 firsts.
Like no, that completely stalls the whole restart in Anaheim. I feel if you
tanks Anaheim, that's awful.
No, 100%. I feel like they have so many prospects that I feel like you can package something bigger together for Jack Eichel than have to give up any of those 2.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that. I think if there's one team I do think he ends up on for some reason, like I think Vegas is going to pull it off, man. It seems too easy for them.
Hatred.
Yeah, it seems too easy for them to pull this trade off. All they have to do is move 2 guys, and they can bring them in. They could send those guys to Buffalo to deal with.
I feel like Riley Smith I feel like Riley Smith would have a no trade clause though. I feel like he would axe that going to Buffalo.
But Vegas doesn't want him. So he might not get playing time there, right? So
fair.
And Buffalo would just flip those guys for picks and stuff. So you never know. Maybe he does end up in Anaheim. He would be sick on a line with Trevor Zegras. That would be amazing. Apparently Columbus is also in too, and also the Kraken. I don't see the Kraken getting involved here. I think they already would have. I think they're trying to do their own thing with their cap space, and they're going to see what they have and then make the moves at the trade deadline. So maybe they do bring in Eichel, but at the trade deadline, if he does suit up and play for Buffalo. And then the Blue Jackets, that could be interesting. I just don't know if they have the assets to do it. You probably start with Max Domi, and then where do you go from there?
I feel like Boston could sneak in there.
Are you talking Patrick Laine and Max Domi over to? Oh no, that's right.
Yeah.
So maybe something like that. That could be interesting. Where do you think Jack Eichel is playing? Not the start of this season, but the start of next season.
I have a weird feeling that Boston always has this this way of getting into deals, and they don't necessarily have to give up what you think they'd have to give up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really have like a history of trades that I can give you, but I just feel like Boston always kind of cheats other teams when it comes to trades, and they just know how to get it done. So I just feel like Jack Eichel could possibly end up in his hometown with Boston and be a Bruin next year.
I do agree with that. Boston though, man. He seems like a Boston dude. Didn't he play at Boston University?
Yeah, he Boston College. I'm almost 100% sure he's from Boston.
He's going to Boston then.
Yeah, I just have that feeling, and I don't know who they could give up for him, but I feel like they could just package picks, and Buffalo could just give him up.
Yeah. Vladimir Tarasenko, he's 30 years old, got a bad shoulder. He's only played 34 games in the last 2 years. It seems the Blues have held on to him too long. There was a source talking about Vladimir Tarasenko that said the trajectory doesn't get any better. They shit on this guy. They shit on their own treatment. It's time to move him. The train has left the station. The time has passed. The same source said that Armstrong has miscalculated the situation, asking for too much for a return. There were once 4 teams interested in Tarasenko, and now there's only 2 left. Those 2 teams weren't revealed, but I did my research. I think it's the New Jersey Devils still want him. They just signed Dougie Hamilton. They did sign Brandon Saad, but they do still have about $18 million left in cap space, so they can still afford him. Another one, which I think could be an option, but it's a tight squeeze with their cap. They also don't like to play their players, and they do have to re-sign Andrei Svechnikov, is Carolina. I think they might be able to, put together a trade for Vladimir Tarasenko. What do you think about this?
Carolina, 100%, because I feel like they don't care what they bring into their locker room, and they will just bring in anything that's going to help them on the ice. Tarasenko, where would he end? Vegas is another place that a guy like Tarasenko could end up. It just, again, Vegas has that ability to just trade for anybody and get anybody. Anaheim, again, Tarasenko can go in there and play with those young stars and really improve that team quicker than even then they probably want to. Seattle, I don't know. I just feel like Seattle. I feel like Seattle didn't grab him at the expansion draft because they weren't sure if he would actually play there. But I feel
that's the thing. There was a report that came out that Ron Francis wanted to take Tarasenko for the sole purpose of trading him for assets, but he wanted to trade him where he wanted to trade him to, and Tarasenko has a no move clause. So if let's say he was going to be traded to, Detroit, Tarasenko could have just said no, and then that kind of ruins Ron Francis's plans, right? So that's why they took Vince Dunn, who's what you're going to get out of him.
Well, there's 2 different guys on Seattle now that weren't on Seattle before that just played with Tarasenko too.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there.
That's a little bit different than before the expansion draft too.
It's going to be interesting. One more thing, and then we can just kind of spitball and see what's going on. The Leafs made a hiring. They hired a goalie coach to help Jack Campbell, and then it turned out that he had a bunch of baggage online and stuff. I didn't really pay attention to this story. But there were some tweets he liked that didn't align with the Leafs' values and their culture, and it was about the insurrection of the Capitol and some other things about anti-vax tweets. Do you think anything will come of this, or is this just going to be kind of blown under the water?
I mean, I hope nothing comes of it because I feel like he can actually help out on the hockey side of things. I don't want to sound like an asshole or anything.
No,
but on the hockey side of things, I hope nothing comes out of it because I feel like he can help the organization when it comes to goaltending because you've seen what he's done with Jack Campbell, which Jack Campbell could possibly be a number 1 starter in NHL now. He obviously has to prove himself a little bit more than what he did last year. But obviously on the human side of things, you don't want to see that stuff because obviously it hurts people's feelings in the organization, and obviously it looks bad in the organization because we see what their values are, and with Kyle Dubas and his joy when it comes to pride and stuff. So I don't know. I hope nothing comes of it, just because obviously I don't like drama when it comes to my organization, and I feel like there's enough in the NHL right now that we don't need to add on to anymore. But I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I don't think anything will come of it in the result of this guy losing his job. They'll probably put out a statement and say, we're working with him on this, working with him on that. People have kept their job over worse things. I just found it a little bit surprising once I'd never heard of this guy before the hiring. And then I was like, why are people mad about this? So I did my research. I was like, well, it doesn't, the hiring doesn't really align with the Leafs' morals and values or whatever you want to call it, which they're right to have. The Leafs do fantastic things. They reach out to the community. They do a lot for everybody. The Leafs are very inclusive. So this hiring did kind of raise my eyebrows. I was like, that's interesting. I wonder if this kind of slips under the carpet when they were in the interview process or whatever. Who knows?
And I think he was liking stuff about Trump. And I mean, to be honest with you, at this point, if we're gonna still be surprised that there's Americans out there who wanted Donald Trump as the president, I feel like we just need. I don't know. I feel like we're stupid at that point if we're still shocked.
You are entitled to your opinion.
No, 100%.
Right, but I don't know. Maybe this will just. It's August. People are reaching for stuff.
No, 100%.
This guy, we got to remember, I don't think he's broken any laws. I don't think he's, hurt anybody directly. It's just, it was some eyebrow raising, tweets and retweets. So we'll see what comes of it. It's still
the
ongoing.
Bad part of social media, right?
Yeah, it was just a bad part of social media, but we'll see what happens there. I feel comfortable saying that. Mm-hmm. All right. Any other hockey questions for me?
Let's see what we got here. I just feel like I feel like my biggest question for you right now is why a right-handed defenseman such a premium? I feel like I know I touched on it a little bit earlier in the show, but I want to ask you, why are like the Cody Cece's of the world so important to teams right now?
I don't know why Cody Cece is important, but right-handed defenseman, it's they kind of drive the play. Like you look at most right-handed defensemen, they drive the play. They push the play up the ice. They're the first one who gets the puck to get it out of the zone. They're the first guy back to stop the play. They kind of run the power play. So it's interesting to see the development of this, because why is it not a left-handed defenseman? And yeah, there are more left-handed defensemen. There's less right-handed defensemen, but why does it matter what side it is? The puck doesn't come out more on the right side. Do you think the Cale Makars of the world are making the right-handed defenseman seem like a premium because of how? 100%.
Yeah.
If you had a left-handed defenseman who put up the numbers Cale Makar did, and then maybe one other guy who did numbers at 70% of what Cale Makar did, you'd be like, wow, left-handed defensemen are on the rise. So it's like, who knows? It's one of those things that you can't quite explain without doing a deep dive on it. Maybe for the next episode, I'll give you like a proper statistical answer, if there even is one.
Well, here's one. What's off the top of your head, top 5 defensemen?
Okay. Top 5 defensemen. So not Drew Doughty.
No, Drew Doughty is no.
Number 1 defenseman in the league. I'll go Cale Makar. Alex Pietrangelo. I think you got to toss Morgan Riley in that top 5. Victor Hedman. How can I forget him? And who won the Norris this year?
Adam Fox for some reason.
No, not him. Sure, Adam Fox. Why not? He had a good season.
Yeah. So out of those ones, there was 3 or 4 right-handed defensemen. So I think that goes to show you right there, is right off the top of your head. I guess that goes to show you why right-handed defensemen are so important, because the top 5 in the league, arguably top 10, probably 6 or 7 of them are right-handed, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Who's your top 5 goalies? I always like asking people about goalies.
Ooh, top 5 goalies. Vasilevsky.
Yep.
John Gibson is up there. This might not be in an order for.
No, mine weren't in order either.
Yeah, so this is Vasilevsky, John Gibson, Carey Price, Pecorine, obviously he's retired, but he's still up there. And it's just tough.
Goalies are tough, man, because they're so inconsistent.
Jacob Markstrom is up there too. I know he didn't really necessarily have the greatest season with Calgary, but I feel like if you put Markstrom if probably 25 of 30 teams in that league, they have a chance of making the playoffs, and if not going to a Stanley Cup run.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I'd probably look at I think you got to go Vasilevsky. I think you got to go. But like after that, man, like Tuukka Rask pretty good. Marc-Andre
The league's
Fleury,
just so different nowadays, right?
You know, the Carolina goalie Meslurkins was good. Sorry, not Meslurkins.
Mrazek?
No, the other one, the rookie. Traded.
Nedeljkovic
was good. You know, there's so many good goalies in the league, but there's also not a lot of good goalies. There's such a fine line, so we'll see where the goaltending market moves forward in here. But
and the league seems to be going to that 2 goalie rotation right now, right?
They do. A lot of teams are doing that.
I like it.
I do too. You know what else I like? The Blue Jays.
They are looking good.
Let me ask you this: are they going to be in the wild card spot come October?
I'm going to answer your question with a question.
Oh.
Are they going to be division champions at the end of the season?
Not this season, no.
You don't think so? Because they're only 7 games back of first place in that division, and Boston is not looking good. Tampa's still Tampa. I mean, they're good. I know that, but the Jays are looking hot, and if Tampa loses a game here and there, and the Jays keep rolling, it's a possibility.
How many games do they have left? Maybe I should have that information first.
That's a great question. Let me check my trusty score app here. No free ads.
Well, let me see what MLB record or MLB standings. Like I don't think they're division champions. I think that's too far. They had too much of a slow start, and their pitching was a struggle. So they're 60 and 50. So they played 110 games. So they probably got about
52 left.
52 left. Oh, I think that's a lot. You could do it. You would have to go on a tear.
You win 35 games in that stretch, and Tampa loses 15, 20. I mean, I know that's not really a
Tampa's only lost 44 all year, right?
That's true. But
and
I guess the more realistic thing would be wild card then.
I mean, and like you look at the division, like in the last 10, Tampa's 8-2, Boston's 2-8, which is weird. The Yankees 8-2, Jays 8-2, Orioles 3-7. So it's like, oh my God, the Orioles are bad. Sorry, I just saw how many on their record.
They were so good, like not long ago, too. Like when they had like Adam Jones, Chris Davis.
No, but I think the Jays are looking at that wild card spot, and they're like, okay, our pitching heats up a little bit. We got a couple new guys coming in. We still got the September call-ups, which could add some spark to the team. So I'm liking it. We're back in Toronto. They just had a 9-2 homestand, which is amazing. So
the crowd's buzzing too.
Crowd's buzzing. Let's get these boys going. Let's get into the playoffs. Let's get a wild card game.
Springer's played like 44 games. He has 14 home runs. The guy could still potentially hit 30 home runs this year.
Does Vladdy hit 50?
No. I feel like that little stretch he had where he wasn't hitting any home runs, I feel like that kind of cost him the 50. But I feel like 40 to 45 is definitely like an attainable goal.
So he's got, what do we say, 52 games left?
Yeah. So
he can't hit 15 home runs in 52 games?
If he goes back on that hot streak like he was, but he also just went the whole home stretch with 2 home runs. That's 11 games. So if anything, I mean, if anybody can do it, it's him.
That would get him to 50.
Okay, so then I ate my words there. I feel like then definitely can get to 50.
I think. Would it?
Don't get me wrong. I want him to get to 50.
It'd be close. I want him to get to 50.
Yeah,
I think
it'd be great. It'd be great.
And you know what? I think the city of Toronto needs it just after the fucking shitstorm we've been through with losing all of our teams. Like,
no, 100%.
The Raptors went to fucking Tampa, the Jays went to Buffalo, and then Dunedin and Buffalo. The Leafs were here, but we couldn't see them. TFC was playing down in Orlando. Like, it sucked. It was awful.
Well, it feels normal,
we have a women's hockey team here that the Toronto Six. They haven't even played a game in Toronto yet. So
yeah,
let's get everybody back here, man. Like, it's gonna be something that I think, the Jays go on a playoff run. We get people in that building. Maybe maybe it's not 15, maybe it's 25, 30, 35. Just fucking pack it. Let's go 60,000 fans and let's just get it rocking.
No.
And
the city of Toronto can make 10 people sound like 1,000. So it's if you can get anybody into that arena, the crowd is going to bring an energy that's just unmatched anywhere, in any city.
Yeah. All right. So to wrap up the show, you prevented a crime this week. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So at the store I work at, some guy stole a jersey and he came running down the hall, and I snatched the bag, and the jersey was actually in the bag. So if it was anybody but a Sidney Crosby jersey, I was probably stepping back. But the best in the league, so you had to respect the best in the league, right?
So So walk me through this. What happened? Like, why were you in the hallway? Because I'm going to attach the video right here. People are probably. Am I allowed to do that? I don't know.
I don't think you're allowed doing that. To be
all right. So the video isn't here. You're just seeing me wag my finger. But so this guy comes running down the hallway, and I see Jarek just kind of standing, looking out at the hallway, like, what's this guy doing? And then this guy bombs by, and all of a sudden I just see him fucking grab this bag. And he just calmly places it and goes back to work. So why were you in the hallway in the first place?
So I was doing my thing, just selling my product. I was talking to customers. It could, obviously, if we were allowed to show the video, in the video you could see a bunch of customers in the store. So like the store was pretty packed. Like, so I was busy doing my thing, and all I hear is yelling. And like White Oaks Mall is pretty crazy. Like it's not the most normal mall, but you don't hear yelling too often. So I heard yelling, and I stepped out in the hallway. I was like, what the hell? And then I didn't really see, I kind of like blacked out in a way, and I didn't really see the guy running at me, but I saw my coworker from the other store in the mall running after this guy. So I was like, what the hell? So I kind of like this instincts kicked in, and I grabbed the bag and prevented a crime. So yeah, I felt pretty badass.
So what was the follow-up after that? Did you get a lot of thank yous?
I haven't got anything yet, but that's kind of the company I work for. So
somebody just came and grabbed the bag and was like, all right, cool, man.
Yeah. Security just came by, and security gave me a nux. So that was worth it.
I guess I get it, man. Like the video, I wish you guys could see it. It was so sick. Like, why didn't you hit the guy with a spear? Is beyond me.
Oh, I part of me was just like, is it worth it to like just absolutely destroy this guy right now, or do I look cool and just snatch the bag? And I was just
you should have lit him the fuck
up. I know.
Because he was sprinting. You could have killed him.
Oh yeah, I have a scratch on my arm because even the bag is like snatching the bag. That's how fast the guy was going. But
he was darting, man. He would have run. He would have had a good time on the 40.
He's definitely stole before. So yeah.
Crazy.
So don't steal, kids.
Yeah, because Jarek will find you and snatch your bag.
Oh yeah, I can run.
All right, boys. Well, I said that. All right, thanks everybody for listening. Have a good night or good day or whenever you're listening to. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Everything's down below. We'll be back on. Oh fuck! Are you and I doing a basketball show? That could be a mess.
I think yeah. If not tomorrow, Thursday.
Yeah, we're probably not going to do basketball this week, so we'll see you Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday for some wrestling.
Raw was terrible.